Good evening, people. Well, good morning, and welcome to another very hot and horrible Build Your Own R2D2. Coming to you with parts 77 and 78. And these four, and these two even, are going to be pretty hardcore, because I've had a look at the magazines, and it probably looks worse than it is, but I'm still quite scared. Don't know if you can hear my fan in the background, but I'll soon find out whether you can in the editing. It's the only way I can survive right now. Anyway, on with 77. Let's have a look what's inside. Alright, with 77 you're getting a metal part of the leg, which surely I thought we would have got through, but this is probably the third leg, I'm guessing. Because we are approaching the end now. You get some cable tidies, which is nice, or a cable tidy, and some cable ties. And best of all for me, if I can ever make it, there we go, hopefully the last of the plastic screws. Oh, mercy, I'll be glad to never see any of those again. And the instructions take up literally half the magazine this time, which is very unusual, and they don't half look scary. Let's go and have a look, see what we need to do. Okay, now you have to take this piece with the dip that way, so not that way round, but this way round, and then you have to take the roughly L-shaped part and put it on to there, and you're putting two 6mm silver screws with the okay, I know my camera's never going to focus on this. It's the ones with the fat end. That's all I can think of. And you are screwing them in from the top. And I've already test run this, so I know I've got the right size screw. So let me go and screw this into place. There we go. Do forgive me that the screw I showed you was actually the 4mm screw. Don't know where I got that from, but I have tested it with the right screws, and as you can see, hopefully, they're coming right through to the end on the back, so that's beautifully in there. Metal screws into metal is how it should always work. Okay, next. Now, I'm re-recording this bit because it was a right mess. You're taking the bit that you've just screwed into place with the wings at the top there, and you're putting that into the corner of the deep fat fire basket that you made last time, like so, and you're putting the 8mm screws into the middle two holes there from the underneath. Haven't tested this yet, but I have got the right screws. The screws you will find all in your little bag that you got with the last part, with the black screws. So that's where you should find those. So let me go and screw that in. Okay, you know what? I've changed cameras. You know why? Because this thing is so unreliable and it's so hot, and I haven't got time to keep reinserting and taking out and reinserting and taking out and reinserting the SD card. Too hot and bothered. It's too hot for that crap. So I've changed to my Panasonic FZ1000, which, unlike the Sony RX100 Mark II, does have a very reliable SD card slot. So that's me being very grumpy about it, but at least we'll have stable filming from now on, because I have not got time for that level of unreliability in the Sony. So maybe that's a heads up for you, or one positive thing that might come out of this. Don't rely on Sony cameras for reliable SD card slots. Anyway, where was I? I have now put this into place. I think this might be the where the legs pivot, maybe? I don't know if they do pivot. They must do, because it's got to stand up and then it's got to be slanting when it's moving along. I guess we'll find it out in time. So that is done, and now what I'm going to do is set my battery for the Panasonic camera charging because it's only got 1 bar left, and I will then study all this extra complicated stuff. We've got the last head screws, thank God. They're screwing with my head, I can tell you that much. And then we're fitting the lightsaber in. That will be interesting, and we're tidying some cables as well. So, got to go and study, got to recharge. Oh joy of joys, it's my favourite thing to do in the whole world. It's the last 3 plastic screws. And as far as I can tell, those are the last 3 holes in the whole head that would take a plastic screw. So, fingers crossed, these are the last 3 I will ever have to deal with. So, it's time to grab your Allen key and start having lots of fun. Okay, it's so hot my brain is melting. I didn't even tell you where they need to be. They need to be, you see you've got the white plastic there, blue plastic there, big rectangular piece there. That's one of the LEDs. They're going above the LED. 1, 2, 3. I hope they're giving us spares, because there was actually 6 on the little plastic holding pins. Anyway, I'm going to put these 3 in and hope I never have to do this ever again in my whole life. Then I'll be a happy man. So, let me get these screwed in. Oh joy of joys, they're all in. 1, 2, 3. So next, do you remember all those years ago you made a lightsaber ejector? Weird looking thing. Well, now you're using this cable tidy to gather up all these and cable tidy them. It should look like that when it's finished. It did take a bit longer than I'd hoped it would. Next, you are taking one of the cable ties and tying it round this bit here diagonally from the top part there that you can see, as in not the bottom part. You're securing this, which seems a bit pointless to me because it's only securing 1 wire, the yellow one, but that's what they say to do. And the other one, they say, which makes a lot more sense, is securing the wires a bit further up the tube, so about there, and then snip the excess off. Okay, this will be one of the trickiest parts to show you. Well, one of the trickiest parts, because I'm not sure how I'm going to show you the rest of this, just this part alone. But the next thing you need to do is you need to find a flap. You can see it easily where it is on the outside because it will be a flap. So you find that, and then you just look on the inside. You're looking for 2 holes either side of that half a ring there, and you are putting the open end in first, so the open end towards the inside of the dome. And what you're doing with this machine gun like part on the left hand side, as you're putting it in, you are lining up the edges, hang on, those 2 holes there. You need to line up with the 2 holes there, and then you need to use 2 6mm screws, and you're screwing it in on either side from the top. Let me go and attempt this now. It's going to be a struggle. Okay, I'm not going to pretend that wasn't extremely nerve-wracking, because it was extremely nerve-wracking. But hopefully I've got it right in there. The big black hole is the lightsaber ejector. That's in there, and it's nice and solid once you know where it's going. And there's another way I could show you. You see the red socket there. You can see where the top bit is pointing up on top of the tube. That's the location you need. So that's that bit. And now, I don't know how I'm going to show you this next bit, but we have to connect up a ton of wiring. Let's get started on that. Okay, this is where it gets heavy. The easiest way I can explain it is, coming from the first one, the white plastic circle, you are routing the wire first through each of the plastic clips. 1, 2, 3. And then you're plugging it into the printed circuit board at the end, and you're plugging it into the one labelled GY. Let me go and do that. Okay, that one's plugged in, and the second one you're taking out of the, or you're following from the long rectangle blacked off piece, the black piece, and you're threading the wire through, and that's plugging into LCD1, which is right next to GY, luckily enough. So let's go and thread that through. Okay, the next part, that's all in there. I'm a bit worried about the extra amount of wire at the end when you plug them in, because I can't help thinking it would be easier if they plugged in the other way round. I hope it all turns out okay. The next one is coming out the very front LCD. That's the two square bits. Hang on, those two square bits. So it's the back of those, and it's the shortest one, so it goes straight to the LCD2 socket, which is right in front of it. Okay, the fourth one along is from the front status display, as they call it. Now there's also the white bit of circular plastic, but the first one that I said to do was next to the blue circle plastic, as you can see, or the blue plastic circle, that's what I should say. So that's the one that's coming out the front, and it's a longer one, so that's how you know it as well. Longer? Well, that one was even longer, but I know what I'm talking about. Okay, this one goes into RB, so let me go and do that. Okay, this next bit's fun because it says take the wire wrap that was wrapped around the wire that you've just taken out. There was never any wire wrap around there because all mine had been removed. But anyway, luckily I kept it from last month, and with this you are wrapping it around the wire that you've just plugged in to make a loop like so. So let me do some careful fancy wire wrapping. Look at that, spotlight on the wire wrap please, it's a little work of art. Let me see if I can zoom in. Oh yes, look at that, beautiful. Focus, focus. Anyway, that being all in there, that part is complete. So let me go and read up what's next. Okay, next you are taking the projector lead from the projector, the big black box, and you're plugging it into a very cryptically named socket that's called projector. So let me go and plug this in. Okay people, this is the final part of part 77. You're taking the lightsaber ejector leads, and you're putting the larger one into LS, which is the larger of the two sockets there, and you're putting the smaller one into the M socket, which is right in the corner there. So let's go and plug those in. We're through it. I can't believe it. We're through 77 people. I have to credit DeAgostini because this part looked like an absolute nightmare. This is my tip for a certain person called Malcolm, who I'm really happy watches all my videos carefully. My tip is don't do anything, don't even think about filming, do nothing but sit and read through every single stage and every single thing it's telling you until you're sure that you understand it, because this is what I did, and from looking like an absolute nightmare, it magically all falls into place, but only if you do nothing but sit and read. I hope this has been a helpful episode to somebody. I have enjoyed it in hindsight. The wires don't look quite like they do in a picture, but I'm not overly worried about that, as long as all the wires are coming out the right ends, which they are, and they're all matching up to where they should be on the dome. I guess that's all that matters. It's time for hopefully an easier part, and see what's in part 78. Okay, here we are at 78. So that's a weird looking angle there. I hope it's upright. Anyway, in 78 you get a lot of the tools for one of the compartments on a body. This is a really nice surprise for me, because when I saw the ad for Build R2D2, it didn't appear to have any of this. It just showed the flaps opening and nothing was inside them. So this is a nice surprise. So we're building the little tools first, and then we're putting them in inside the compartment that the flap opens to. Let me have a drink, let me have a sit and a read, and then we'll start. Okay, it says carefully cut these bits off of the sprue. I hate that word. Going to be honest, I just wiggled them off and they all just came off, so that was okay. And the next thing you need to do is grab this little circle piece here with the 3 holes in it there. Look how fast that focus is compared to my Sony. Anyway, then unfortunately you have to glue all of these into place. So in each of the 3 holes there, you'll need to glue those in. So let me go and glue these. This is where the fun doesn't begin. Okay, and the next part is, it says it's D-shaped that you put into the gold circular piece there, but it's only vaguely D-shaped. This you can see is D-shaped, but the circle part, I'm not so sure. I'm not sure what difference it makes anyway, because it's the same all the way around. So what does it matter which way it ends up going in? Who knows, but I'm going to try and do that now. Well, one thing's for sure, it's not coming out of there in a hurry. So that's that bit done. And next. Okay, I thought all the weirdy parts were over, but there's still more. You'll be pleased to know. Let me try and zoom in. Alright. Now, you're taking either one of these bits. You get 2, and they're both identical. And you're putting a little nut into the circle bit there. And one of these, weird, don't know if it's going to focus. The ones with the grooves only on one end, only part way up, I mean to say. One of those, and you're putting that on the other end, and you're also taking, you get 2 of these, and you're taking the longer one first, which is BP24, and you're putting that in there, sticking the nut in there, and the screw in the other side to screw it in, and you're ending up with something that looks like this. It's supposed to, I'm guessing, chug along like that. You can feel each notch. The thing that I found most strange of all was that the nut came in one bag and the bolt or the screw came in the other bag, and yet you're supposed to use both together for this part. Who knows what that logic is all about. Anyway, the very next thing that you're doing is taking the bit that you've just been gluing together, sticking it into the end of this one. You can't go wrong because it's not going to fit in that little tiny hole there, and it only fits in one way into there, so we'll need to glue this. Okay, there we go. I don't know about you, but I reckon that looks quite nice, and I've had a look through the magazine, and I don't think it matters that that's a bit stiff, because as far as I can see, because this, all that goes into here when it's in a compartment is a screw, so that's never going to be mechanical. In other words, it doesn't matter how weirdly that moves, as long as it does move and you can move the hinge on it, then you should be fine. I'm guessing that you can just pull these out when you want it to look good, when you don't want to pose your R2D2 at the end, at the bitter end. Anyway, the next thing you do is remove this tiny piece here, which is apparently a probe. No, it's not a little tiny bit of gold pointy plastic, it's a probe, and you put that into here. I say put, I do of course mean glue, so let's glue this. Well, that doesn't look at all like it's going to snap off at any moment, does it? Oh no. Anyway, the next thing you have to do is you need to glue this into the end of this. It's not either end, it's the thin end. So that's the thick end. It's never going to go in here anyway, so into the thin end, and again it's D-shaped, so time for more gluing. Okay people, that's in there, but let's be realistic here. There is no way in hell that at some point you're not going to accidentally bend that bit in, because that's just ridiculous. Like, could they seriously not have moulded a piece of plastic that went out at a right angle there? Anyway, it is what it is, and now the next piece is you have to do a repeat performance of the first time you did this. So see the little dip there in the light, nut in there, screw in the other side, and got yourself another hinge. Well, that was fun, wasn't it? Bizarre, but fun. There's my second hinge. And what you next need to do is stick this piece into there. And by stick, I do of course mean literally gluing. And next, you need to take your little silvery seat there, and you need to take your little sonic screwdriver, your R2D2 piece of tooling, and you need to put it on the left hand side with the pointy bit facing towards you. Let me go and screw this in the bottom, which is that one. Look at that. I like that. Now the one tip that I have is don't try and screw it in like that, because annoying things will happen. Bend it over and then screw it in, because you can press down onto that edge there and then screw it in like that. And guess what you need to do next? I already know the answer to that. You need to put the one on the right in, and that goes that way round, so that the extra bit is that side, so that it will fold down like that, which I'm going to do right now so that I can screw it in. There we go, people, both in there. So next, you are taking the one and only flap that you got with this part, and you flip it over this way, and you're taking one of the silver hinges and you put one this side on the outside, then you screw these in with, or this one in, with an 11mm black screw. And I'm guessing it's these ones, because these are the longest black screws that I can remember for a long time. So we screw those in from the outside. Now historically I've always been very bad with hinges, so I hope I don't make a mess of these, but I've read the instructions and this is what you need to do. I should say this bit should face on the edge and down away from you, not upwards. Although I guess in the end it doesn't matter, but then again it's not going to be a 180-degree hinge. So, and it says make sure it moves freely and is not sloppy. So no sloppy work, people. Let's go screw these in, one the other side as well. Okay, you know what? They are slightly sloppy, but you know what else? I don't care, because I cannot risk pushing that in any further, because it's just a flimsy tiny bit of plastic, screwing metal into plastic. You've got one shot at this, so I'm not going to be risking my one and only flap, thank you very much. So that's as good as it's going to get. So next you grab hold of this bit, well, carefully take hold of this bit, and then you're aiming the silvery bits to end up in those holes there. 1, 2. And you should be, yes, you are screwing them in from underneath with another 2 6mm screws. So let me go and screw this in. It's obviously going up that way, people. Got to be as careful as I can here. It might be a little bit floppy, but I don't care, as long as it's in one piece. Okay, done. It may well be sloppy, but let me tell you, I would rather have sloppy and intact piece of plastic than broken plastic and me potentially crying into the camera for several hours. It's got a nice closing up action there as well. Seems to work good. Don't think those screws are going to work themselves loose magically. Alright, I don't think I can test fit this bit, so I'm going to show you what the probable aim is. You need to make sure the door is open and you slide it through towards the bottom, and as you can see, these 3 screw holes there should be lining up with 1, 2, 3 of the housing. So that one, and that one. And in addition to that, you need to find the notch in the top of the housing there, which is right there, and you need to probably slide it under the notch in the plastic at the edge of this part. So let me go and slide this into place and we'll see if I was right. because if I pop this under here, it's unlikely I can get it out again to then come back and show you what I did. So that's why I'm doing it like this now. So let's put this in place. Okay, I don't really want to take it out of there again, so I'm glad I did it like that. And you need 3 6mm standard issue self-tapping screws into the back bit there, first of all. Okay, we're going from the top here, and you're turning it over. And these two pieces look a bit similar, I'm sure you'll agree, but they've both got triangles on them, which hopefully you can also see, just about. Triangles there. And you've got to place it on top of that one, so that the triangle on the edge of this faces the triangle on the plastic right there. But how you'll know which one it is, because they look a bit different, is you try putting that one on, it's basically not going to fit. So it can only be this one, which does indeed fit very nicely. So let me just screw this into place with one of the flange screws, or as I like to call them, the screws with the little hats on. Sombrero screws, let's call them that. Can I get a focus? No. Let's go and screw this in. Okay, next you need to put one of these onto there and the other one onto there. And as far as I can tell, these are exactly the same whichever way round you do them. That way, as long as they go around this way with a flat edge facing away from the piece, then you should be alright. Let me go and screw these in. I assume with the flange screws again. So let me go and screw those on. Okay, that's those on. And the final piece is this piece. And you need to have the arrow facing outwards. And you're plopping that onto there. And you're screwing it in with another sombrero screw. So let's go and screw that on. And there we have it. That takes us mercifully to the end of part 78. So that's 77 and 78 done. There's my little disaster pieces there. We'll mark that down to experience. Let's say I've got a specially modified version of R2D2 that none of you will ever have. The flap, I don't know if that's ever going to open automatically. Can't see how now. That's just a manual thing if you want to pose your fancy pieces that you made. Still, it looks good. That takes us to the end of 77 and 78. Thank you very much for watching. It's horrible and hot, I'm melting. I'm glad I got through all that. And again, kudos to DeAgostini for those instructions, because first one, 77, looked like an absolute nightmare. But it turned out not to be. So that was good. And as for Chris, well, I take my hat off to you, Chris, because there's no way in hell that I could film some of these delicate pieces live. Especially the delicate hinge for this, screwing those hinges in. No way. Because I'd probably snap it live, and then what would you do? I don't know if that's actually happened yet, but I'll find out once I watch your live broadcast. Anyway, as for everybody else, thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting. I'm sorry I can't remember the names of the other two people that normally comment, but you know I will always reply to any comments. So, thank you very much. Hope you've had a fun time watching, because it's been traumatic, but we got through it. I'm very happy about that. So, see you in the next video.